so I guess like one of the things to really I guess talk about, before we really talk about Islam Makhachev, is the decisions last night.
Yeah.
I was not with any of those at all. Not that I mean, some were good calls, but the Petrosyan fight against Gregory Rodriguez, like I didn't agree with that decision. I don't know if that
Yeah.
was just me, but I didn't think that fight went Petrosyan's way at all.
I definitely have to go back and watch the fight again. But while I was watching it, I was like, hey, this. I mean, I could see it being split,
Right.
but I did not see it going Petrosian's way.
Right.
Even though I had him picked on verdict, I was like, I don't think he
Yeah.
won that. And then they call him, and I was just like, excuse me.
Yeah.
Um,
It just I didn't
Let me
agree.
pull up those cards again.
Right. And so while you're pulling that up, it was just like you saw Gregory Rodriguez being the aggressor. He's really good at pushing the pace. And we've seen in his earlier fights. I mean, he's definitely a guy that I would look out for in the sense of like just an exciting fighter because he throws down. But when it came to it, like it just seemed that every time that they would clash, is that Gregory Rodriguez was having the answer, or he would start off the engagement and then he would end it as well. I didn't see where Petrosian was really winning that fight.
Yeah.
And even if you just like to look at them at the end of the fight, Petrosian was pretty beat up, and then you see Gregor. I mean, sorry, I would say Gregor Gillespie, and but you see the reason why I brought that was because what's his name. We'll get in that later. But it was just one of those like things where it's like I thought Gregor Rodriguez, he looked like he just did cardio for about 30 minutes. Like he had no,
So bringing up the scorecards
Mhm.
with that is who did more work and who was taking the less damage,
Right.
or the least amount of damage. One judge gave all 3 rounds to Petrosian, and the issue with that is that one judge gave Rodriguez 1 round. And then the other one, and that was the 3rd round, and then the other judge gave him 2 rounds, the second and the third. And so this judge who gave Petrosian all 3 rounds, like, I don't know what fight you were watching.
Right.
And then between the 2 judges who gave him the second and third, like, okay, they agreed on 1 round and not the other 2.
Right.
The inconsistency with judging is so bad.
Yeah.
That it's getting to a point where we really need to be calling out these judges.
Right.
And I know everyone's going to be like, oh, they have a hard job. I don't really care. They have a job, and we need to hold them to a certain standard.
Yeah. I mean,
because not only that fight, but you also had the Ji Yeon Kim fight and Priscilla Cachoeira.
Yeah.
That fight, I think it was a little closer than Petrosian and Rodriguez.
Right.
But I definitely think Kim won that fight. And I felt like maybe it was just me until I got on the internet.
Right.
When I got on Twitter, I saw so many people calling it a robbery and that Kim should have won. And I was like, okay. Because the 3rd round, if you go look at the numbers,
Right.
she had like almost 100 more significant strikes just in the 3rd round than Cachoeira did.
That's ridiculous.
And if you want to act like there was control time, maybe that went towards Cachoeira.
Yeah.
Nope. She had 27 seconds of control time. You can't tell me that outweighs an entire round of being outstricken. Right. It's stupid. That makes no sense.
Right, because that just how does 27 seconds outweigh 4 minutes and 33 seconds
exactly
in a fight? And so that's just I don't know. I didn't agree with that decision at all. It becomes a thing where it's like we need to start holding these judges accountable for what they do. These athletic commissions really need to start making a whole point in this. We see people like Adelaide Bird. Anytime you ever hear that judge's name read, just be ready for it to be a really fucked up decision. There's no other way to put that. Sal D'Amato, that guy, man.
Another one that judged that card.
Adelaide Bird,
fight.
So Adelaide Bird is a boxing referee, and same thing with her. She's actually been under tons of scrutiny even in the boxing world because she's reffed plenty of Floyd Mayweather's fights. In fights that people argue that shouldn't have gone Floyd Mayweather's way, so they're like, she has to be paid off or something because there's no way that she's doing that well. And it's one of those things where it's like, do we start to see the change in this? And are we ever going to see a change in this? Because this is getting ridiculous to the point to where, with judging is that sometimes like even Dana White even says like we won't go back over there because their commission sends us these bad judges every single time, and that's what we're seeing with Vegas, with Nevada Athletic Commission is, they're not, so they just supply any refs out there. They don't really pay attention. Or even that state that's bad about is even Texas. I mean, we've seen it personally, you have bad refs that end up judging fights and they give bad scorecards, and it becomes, where do we finally start putting a change in this?
Yeah. And just to reiterate, all three judges gave Cachoeira the third round.
Right.
After we were just talking about the numbers of that round, which Kim had 166 significant strikes,
right,
while Cachoeira had like 60 something or 70 something.
Right.
So that 27 seconds of control time and I guess forward pressure while getting popped in the face the whole time won her the fight in the eyes of all three judges. That it makes no sense.
Right.
I definitely agree that just because you're a ref doesn't mean you know how to score a fight.
Right.
You might know how to call it while you're in there, but you don't know how to score it.
Right.
And we're obviously seeing a huge discrepancy in the scores that we get from these judges. Sal D'Amato's a really bad one. He's been there for a long time. Mike Bell is one that we're starting to see a lot who gets some of these fights wrong. Rob Alexander has no business anywhere in an MMA event. Let's just be real.
It's being honest.
Horrible ref, horrible judge.
Yeah.
No punches being held here.
No.
None. So catch me outside, Rob Alexander. I know Robert Alexander. I know where you live. No, I don't. But it's getting to a point where it has to be stopped.
Yeah.
And I think that last card was a perfect example of why.
Right. And I would kind of like to hear Dana White's take on this as well.